Check 1 2, mic check 1 2 1 2 3. I guess I should be softer. The mayor's much softer spoken than I am. Check 1 2, mic check 1 2 3.
I'm good.
Everybody good? Oh yeah. Check 1 2.
No, mic's up.
Mic check 1 2
I don't know
3.
what happened to the other ones, but I just don't want to rely on it.
Mic check 1 2 3. Everybody else good?
So,
Great.
I'll just have to go over you. You're right there. Actually, the person you wanted to ask was in the blue right there. Okay. You know his name? Keith?
The mayor will be here soon. You know him, he's always running late. Sorry, as always. Hey, is it running? Did they kill the feed? That's why you're listening to this, right? Everybody put the mics up.
I guess she's thinking she's taking a live picture. This is why he's here. Can you tell this is why they're here? Tight room.
Mic check 1 2 3. Mic check.
Appreciate it. kids, man.
How are the kids? Everybody good? Oh, okay.
I'm gonna go grab them. He's coming up down the stairs now. Yeah, they're coming in now.
For the pre-meeting before that.
How y'all doing? You guys ready? Okay. Well, I'm joined here today by some of my colleagues on the council, Councilmember Garza, Councilmember Cassar. Just to let you know that the City of Austin has filed its motion for preliminary injunction, asking the federal court in San Antonio to enjoin the enforcement of Senate Bill 4. Pleading was just filed a few minutes before 5 o'clock. Pleading is now public, and Jason will be bringing down copies of the motion for preliminary injunction. The motion for preliminary injunction was supported by evidence, including a statement by Councilmember Cassar, statement by Councilmember Garza, well as a statement from me, a statement from our police chief, a statement from Roland Swanson with South by, and a statement by several other folks. by way of evidence. You should know that as factual background for the motion filed by the city has sought to demonstrate a legacy of anti-Hispanic discrimination in the state of Texas. Has set out that Senate Bill 4 targets Hispanic foreign nationals across the border. It seeks to show that Texas and ICE have collaborated to punish Austin and Travis County, to show that the ICE raids in February inflicted grievous injury on our city, to show that Senate Bill 4 will inflict social and economic impacts on Texas, detrimental impacts on Texas, believing also that Senate Bill 4 will inevitably lead to extended detentions, constitutional detentions. Specifically, the city is alleging that Senate Bill 4 conflicts with the First Amendment of the United States Constitution, the Fourth Amendment to the United States Constitution, the Equal Protection Clause in the United States Constitution, that it conflicts with the executive branch policy. And we have also alleged that Senate Bill 4 is in violation of the Texas Constitution Home Rule Amendment, and that it hinders or prevents in an improper way Austin's police power to be able to keep our community safe. Bottom line, it continues to be our position that Senate Bill 4 will make our community less safe by interfering with the trust relationship that exists between public safety and the folks that live in our community. That it is our goal to ensure safety and equity and fair treatment, legal treatment, constitutional treatment for everyone who lives here. This city will suffer economic harm as a result of Senate Bill 4. And then I would just parenthetically say that among the many things that we think Senate Bill 4, in the ways that Senate Bill 4 violates the Constitution, is it says pretty explicitly that the governor and attorney general have the ability to remove from public office elected officials that would endorse a policy different than that represented in Senate Bill 4. And I just want to say that we're here today endorsing policy that is in contrary to Senate Bill 4, because that law is wrong and it's not just. So we're joined by another colleague as well, Councilmember Renteria. I indicated also submitted a statement in this action, and I'll give my colleagues a chance to address you as well. We have filed today by 5. The other side has until Friday to file their responsive pleadings, and then we will be in front of the court Monday morning, I think, beginning at 9:30 in San Antonio. Wednesday of next week, the judge in Austin has also asked the parties to that action to appear in his courtroom, and we will, Thursday, to appear in his courtroom as well, and we'll be there too.
I'll make sure you're there right now.
Yeah, make sure I'm.
Hi all, I'm Greg Cassar, representing District 4. Jordi Valderas is 17 years old. He is my constituent in District 4, and he's a natural-born U.S. citizen. but he, like 1 in 7 Texans, children, lives with family members who are undocumented. During the ICE raids earlier this year, he and his family had to miss a medical appointment for their 3-year-old family member who has significant medical issues because of fear that their family could be torn apart by immigration enforcement. He was not the only one. People's Community Clinic, whose primary clinic is in District 4, has filed an exhibit and an affidavit in this case showing that the no-show rate at their clinic increased over 50% during the ICE raids and during the heightened debate on Senate Bill 4. Kelly White, the CEO of the Safe Alliance, also filed an affidavit attached to mine. Her organization serves everyone in this community, and the majority of their clients are Latino. Kelly tells a story of a client who was being abused by her husband, but chose not to report it, citing SB4 and the ICE raids. She also tells the story of a client who feared calling police after being drugged and raped by her landlord. And after moving out, he continued to follow her, but she fears calling the police because of her immigration status. Jassery Rico Hernandez is a District 4 resident and went to high school in the Runberg area. She's 17 years old. She's a U.S. citizen, and her family is largely undocumented. She's completed high school, and now she's been admitted to Stanford. She's not sure whether or not she should go for fear that leaving her family at home here in Texas under Greg Abbott and under SB4 and under the deportation regime would be abandoning her family. She and her siblings are giving away their dogs because they fear that a simple noise complaint could lead to the police being called and immigration authorities separating her family under SB4. These are real stories, sworn and signed, filed by the city of Austin today. SB4 is an unconstitutional attempt to make the fear and the harm done under the ICE raids be the daily life of people in Texas. SB4 will cause irreparable harm to our community, to people like Jordy and Jassery, and to children missing health appointments and missing prenatal care, and to survivors of sexual assault and survivors of abuse. But Greg Abbott does not care. Ken Paxton does not care. Dan Patrick does not care. They just care about being reelected. And that's why this community, alongside El Paso and El Cenizo, Dallas and San Antonio, and I'm sure later this week, Houston, all of these cities are standing up against the unconstitutional hatred and fear being driven by SB4. We have filed our pleadings today to stop this law immediately in court, and so that the stories of people like Jordy and Jassery do not go unheard by their fellow Texans. I've been very clear since SB4 passed that Texas is on the national stage. SB4 is clearly the model for carrying out the mass deportation regime of Trump's White House. Sean Spicer, the White House press secretary, called SB4, quote, a positive step that makes sense for the citizens of our country. Trump's White House cannot accomplish their mass deportation plans without coercing local governments like ours into becoming their deportation force. And that's why today we got news that Trump's Department of Justice wants to weigh in on this case. And I think that we all know that it's pretty clear that they will not be weighing in on our side. It comes as no surprise that they're joining with and will likely join with the state of Texas to promote their unconstitutional and dangerous law here and across the nation. And I and my colleagues, as dutifully elected representatives of the communities here in Austin, refuse to back down, and I'm so proud to stand on it.
The last few months following the ICE raids and leading up to the passage of SB4 have been heart-wrenching, frankly. It's been heart-wrenching to hear stories of families torn apart, families living in fear, families taking their children out of school and not participating in programs that enrich the lives of themselves and their families. This law has created such unnecessary anxiety in our community. So this morning, I proudly submitted an affidavit to our city legal staff to support the City of Austin's motion for preliminary injunction against SB4. And in that affidavit, I talk about some of the heart-wrenching stories. about participating in a panel on SB4 at a local school and hearing extremely courageous teenagers talk about their fears of having their families separated. These children should be busy learning and, enjoying childhood. Their biggest concern should be whether they made the middle school volleyball team, and instead they're worried about having their families be separated. I'm grateful that Austin has joined this lawsuit and that we will be fighting this discriminatory law in court starting this Monday. I want to thank our legal team for all that they've done leading up to this and all that they will continue to do. It's unfortunate that our governor has many times publicly stated that the only people that need to worry about this are criminals. And I think he has not actually read the law that he signed, or he is intentionally being misleading. It has become very apparent that our governor has deep disdain for the city, and that is quite unfortunate. It's unfortunate that respect for differing viewpoints is no longer the norm, and instead has risen to the level of a flat-out attack on our great city. If you value family values, if you value hard work, if you value people that risk everything to better the lives of themselves and their families, if you basically value the American dream of prosperity, you should be appalled by SB4. We as Austinites will fight for the values that have made us the great Texas city that we are. I'm grateful that so many cities have joined us in this fight against SB4, and I look forward to the hearing on Monday and being there with my colleagues. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm also very appalled and very I'm hurting, because I went to church yesterday and a quarter of our members that are Spanish speakers are not showing up anymore. That's how scared they are. That they're not even going to church, to ask for peace and love and forgiveness. And we have a governor here that just refused to realize what he's doing. He's hurting our people. These are church-going, God-fearing people, and they can't go and practice their religion because they're afraid they're going to get deported. That's wrong. Just plain wrong.
Y'all have any questions? Yes.
In Arizona, when SB considered because there were a lot of people that were moving out of the city. Some people in Austin have told us they are planning to do so as well. How is the city preparing? How are you communicating with these people that are planning to do this if this happens? And how are you going to act about the fear that will still be in Austin even after this legal battle?
I think that the leadership in this city, myself and colleagues on the council, are speaking as publicly as we can to let everyone in this city know that it is our intent to do everything we can to keep everyone who lives here as safe as we can. That we're involved in this for many reasons, but including that. This council has extended support to help make sure that everyone who lives here knows their constitutional and other rights under law. And then we're doing everything we can to enjoin enforcement of Senate Bill 4 so that it never becomes effective as of its intended effective date in September 1st or thereafter.
Mayor Howard, what feedback has your office and have the offices of the other city about the city founding?
I am so proud to be living in Austin, Texas. And I am so proud of the people that live in this community. There are some things that may have changed last November. The one thing that did not change was who we are as a people. It's one of the reasons why I have chosen to live here. So I would say overwhelmingly, I am receiving support for the positions that we've taken as a council. Support for challenging this law in court. Excitement that we have moved out of 5 the safety of the city was tossed to now be in a court where facts and law will also the economic, there is manyfold economic justification for expending what's necessary for us to be able to defend Austin, Texas.
Can I hop in on the cities one
Yeah.
really briefly? There's been communication amongst the immigrants' rights movement and elected officials from across the state on this issue. And I think you'd be hard pressed to find another example where so many communities, so many elected officials, so many cities jointly built an effort to challenge a law for being unconstitutional in this state, and where you would find such a coordinated effort to directly challenge a law passed by a governor in Texas. Think about back to May 16th when many of you joined us on the Capitol steps, when only El Cenizo, a tiny border town, had bravely filed suit, but the major cities had yet to file suit themselves. Since then, it's only been just over a month. El Paso has filed suit. San Antonio and Bexar County have filed suit. Travis County and Austin have filed suit. Dallas has filed suit. And Houston on Wednesday will take a vote to join. So you've gone in just under a month, or just a little bit over a month, from just what started one tiny border town of a few thousand people to virtually every major metropolitan area in Texas and their elected officials standing beside reason, good government, and safety. To the question of cost, one affidavit I did not mention that's in the case is a District 4 business. Susana Vivanco, who is the owner of Lima Criolla, a Peruvian restaurant that's an institution that used to be in the Highland Mall and is now over in the old Lincoln Village, filed an affidavit on behalf of her business, the economics around her business, and frankly just for her employees and her clients, because as you mentioned, there are people thinking about leaving on September 1st. She has filed in her affidavit and sworn that it is patrons of her restaurant and her family members of her employees who are talking about potentially leaving Texas for a friendlier place come September 1st. And that economic damage is so much greater than the tiny amount of resources and energy we would have to spend to stop this law. That would be multiplied so many times over. And so keeping people in this community, keeping our businesses and our employees in this community will provide so much more of an economic benefit than harm. And that's why someone like her, just a small business owner, is stepping up on behalf of her employees and her patrons.
Now, understand what this law would do. This law would allow federal immigration officials to, in essence, commandeer the local police and pull them off of investigations of serious offenses and serious crimes in the city in order to make them devote their time and resources to federal immigration work. I don't know what kind of value you put on that, other than to say that the harm to the city could be great and it's very real.
Councilmember, sorry, you mentioned something about the Department of Justice. This is kind of the first that several of us have heard about. I was wondering if you could elaborate. Are y'all expecting Trump administration lawyers to be at the hearing on Monday?
Looks like you're getting handed the info now, and the mayor, who's an attorney, probably can best speak to exactly what the statement of the motion of interest is.
Our legal staff has been contacted by the Justice Department, where they've indicated an intent to file a notice of interest and a request to appear. If that happens, then they would certainly be part of the large groups that are gathered in the courtroom on Monday. But as best I know, we haven't seen a pleading to that effect.
In that notification, you mentioned any indication of what they might be arguing with?
I think at this point, they've just, because we haven't seen a pleading, my understanding is we haven't seen a pleading yet in this, just a request, an indication that they intended to file a notice of interest, which means they would be suggesting that they have a dog in this hunt and want to be able to participate in the matter. As Councilman Casal said, we we can certainly assume that they're not going to be coming to our support.
Last question?
Mayor, what do you think when the governor says that when he leaves Austin, he smells freedom, a kind of freedom that does not exist in Austin, Texas?
You know, when the debate turns to what cities smell like, I think it's just really unfortunate. I will tell you that the air in Austin smells like success. We live in a city that has an unemployment rate that's a full point lower than it is statewide. We are the safest, largest city in the state of Texas with a population over 280,000 people. We created a third of the jobs created statewide in March in this city alone. We're way ahead of our per capita share of patents and venture capital. Austin contributes mightily to the state of Texas, and things are going incredibly well here. And I think it's unfortunate that our state leadership is not focused on making sure that the cities that are doing well share with other cities the ways that we're successful. Certainly there's a lot for us to learn from the successes of other cities. That's the conversation that we ought to be having. But to have a conversation where the governor is talking about how different cities smell, I think is unfortunate.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yes, exactly.
Ben, are you there? Hello, hello?